And now this basically brings us to the end of all the presentations. And now since the presentations have ended, I would again like to invite Dr. Sanjeev Sridharan to conclude the event and talk about the next steps, because we've learned so much. We've had some great conversations. We've got some great connections. So where do we go next? So for that all, I will invite Dr. Sanjeev for the conclusion and next steps.
Thank you, Maha. And let me start by saying it's very rare. I've been in this business for 3 decades. I'm slightly embarrassed to tell you. It's been 30 years. It's very rare to actually have an evaluation meeting where people use words like spiritual, empowering. So let me start by first complimenting. It's a big deal. It's a really big deal. I remember, when I feel many aspects of the last 3 days have been focused on the sense that we have an opportunity as a field to make a difference. Whether you talk about transformation, you talk about small changes on the ground where we improve better systems. This came through in multiple presentations, in Soma's presentation, in Shailendra's introductory comments, in Shweta's comments on results, certainly in Ian and Aki's presentations today. The sense of the time is now, and as a field, we need to take it seriously. So I just want to, and I loved Sakio Mose's response to Ian's comment. Right? He used the word spiritual, it was informing and empowering. I think these are important words. So I think, firstly, I want to take a minute before I get to the substance of my comments to thank the APPEA organizers. I've been in this business for 3 decades. I've never been part of a better organizational system. So I just want to take a minute to congratulate Asela, Randika, Madhuka. I think I've asked them to be on the video. I can see 2 of the 3 here itself too. So thank you very much. I think it's a big deal. We've been having almost 2 meetings a week for the last 12 to 16 weeks. And they've been very, very substantive meetings. So this idea that even a 9-hour session has to be so much precision is required. So well done. Let me start there. But I want to get to business in terms of the success of this event. I'm not interested in a one-time only event. And I think what APPEA has done tremendously is to create a platform that connects with members of the community and says, what a fantastic community. Asia Pacific, South Asia, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, Africa, Europe, and the only reason North America is not represented is just because of time zones. And so it's just quite fantastic. So I guess my comment to Asela is going to be, Asela, in the next couple of days, let's just talk about how do we take this event and move it from a one-time only towards an ongoing, sustained platform. As a funder, I can do something about it. So the onus is on you to come back to me. Let's talk Monday or Tuesday. How do we move it from a one-time only to a set of follow-up issues itself? The platform is for real. And so that's point number 1. Point number 2, it's very rare. This may or may not be obvious to everybody, but underlying all of this was a project that built evaluation capacity, working with the government. I want to call out a couple of leaders here from DMEU. Shailendra is here, Shweta is here. It's very rare to actually have a platform. I've worked for almost 2 decades in the North America. I worked with the American Evaluation Association, with the Canadian Evaluation Society, and spent some time in UK. It's actually pretty rare to actually have a combination of government, community, and evaluation associations working together to solve problems. I think we have a tremendous opportunity here under DMU's leadership, but also with a range of different partners, including APPEA, including different groups in different countries itself, to really keep this going. So again, Asela, I'm going to be turning to you to sort of coming back with ideas on how we can, really sustain this sort of organizational leadership you have. Don't take it for granted. More often than not, I'm not convinced. I'm being blunt. With the American Evaluation Association, for example, we tend to work too much within our own silos in a way that I have not found with APPEA and with DMEU and others. So well done. That's point number 2. 3, it's really critical. I have to be honest and say I get turned off every time I see the evaluation tree, which was presented yesterday. The reason I say that, it's important to understand the substance, but I see a very European and North American bias there. And I think I'm keen, as we build our field, what are our evaluation trees that really reflect more of a South Asian, more of a Asia Pacific, more of a Central Asia, more of an African voice in that. So I think it's really important. This is not a real easy next step for me, but it's a wish list that I'm moving towards. I think really critical we actually reflect that part. And again, I think I want to also call out, APPEA is just launching a journal, but I think Aki is one of the editors, with I think the first issue coming out in 2 months and another issue coming out in about 8 months from now. Super critical, Acela and team and the editors, that you really start speaking about evaluation stories from the Asia Pacific Africa region itself. I don't think we do enough of that. I'm unconvinced that North America, it really are the leaders in the next couple of decades for evaluation. So I'm really looking to these different regions to show the leadership. That's 3. 4 is, as you lead these dialogues, ask yourself, what are evaluation competencies needed? I think I'm, again, along with Acela and along with 2 colleagues from the Evaluation Center, we are editing a volume on evaluation competencies. We have a fair number of papers from the South Asia region. It's really critical. How do we lead a dialogue around evaluation competencies? A similar comment that I think Ian did a brilliant job thinking about evaluation criteria. He spoke about 2 different evaluation criteria. I really appreciated Anmol Suresh's question on where connected to evaluation criteria. How do we actually start sort of saying, here is evaluation criteria that applies to our setting itself? I don't want to take the OECD's 6 criteria as the final word on the topic. Evaluation is a dynamic field. By that, it means we are incomplete. You are part of a community that helped make it less incomplete itself too. In the 3 minutes I have remaining, here for me were the 10 unresolved questions that I think as a field, as we build, are important. First, I want to actually how do we connect Soma's presentation to this is on theories of change, to questions on evaluation criteria? Once again, there were some pretty deep questions that Sakio Mose, I think Biswaranjan, Anmol raised on those kinds of questions. So I think it's important that we don't treat evaluation criteria separate from theories of change. I want to call out as a field. We have, so Biswaranjan's question was around sustainability. There were questions around how do we actually take theories of change more seriously, and make sure that theories of change are much more respectful for challenges of inequities. I'm not convinced as a field we have taken that question seriously itself. That's point number 1. 2, Maha, you raised the question on trade-offs and evaluation criteria. I'm sorry to say, but I don't see leadership from multiple development organizations to answer that question. When do I take relevance seriously? When do I take sustainability seriously? When do I take inequity seriously? I think more part of the community to actually help answer that question. So I don't think we should be looking forward to a Gates Foundation or OECD to answer those questions. We have to tell our own stories. That's 2. 3, I think the big challenge in evaluation is how do you combine different evaluation approaches? I want to come to Candice's presentation. I work a lot with Michael Patton on developmental evaluation. I work a fair number of work with folks who work more summatively. I think in any life of a project, you start off with great degrees of uncertainty. You need some degrees of developmental work before you move towards more summative work. How do we combine this? This is really critical. As a field, we haven't done a good job. 4th, a related issue. As I work with different evaluation organizations, what's stunning for me is how often organizations that are good in one approach are rather weak on the other. Case in point, you may have an organization that's really good in data collection of the quantitative kind, but utterly useless of the qualitative kind. And this is disappointing. I think how do we actually build teams that have these multiple skills? I think this is really, really critical. I loved number 5. I loved Ian's call for evaluation as transformation. But for me, that's not just a buzzword. I think we need actual examples. Show me the proof that evaluations, again, in a modest, humble way, has actually led to transformations. That cannot be just a phrase itself. 2 more minutes. I think, again, Ian's point around moving away from project evaluation towards larger systemic, how do you connect different projects, is a really important call. I think as a field, we need to take super seriously. I think a couple more points that come out of Ian's presentation, also thinking about evaluation systems, and I'll just leave it there, I'll park that idea. But I think there's a point he made on instability that I didn't feel as a field we've paid as much attention. During COVID, I felt as a field we were not asking ourselves, given this rather strange discontinuity that's almost of a historical nature. As a field, I think we need to much more ask ourselves, when faced with such instabilities, what kinds of competence do we need? I'm going to summarize with two parts that come out of Aki's presentation. I think I loved her focus on local context. What people don't realize is when I evaluate an evaluation, the first question I ask is not how cool is the design, but I need proof that you actually know what communities you're talking about. I'm somewhat disappointed to tell you, 9 times out of 10, it's often hard to tell whether the evaluation team has actually spent time in the community. There's a gap between what people tell you verbally and the written part. And I think it's really important that we take the local context part clearly. Final comment that really comes out of Aki's presentation is, it's not the evaluation report that matters. Evaluation is not the same as learning. Evaluation is a subset of learning. I think a lot of her presentation really speaks about how do we move from the evaluation report to actually where she says that should be the start of the dialogue. The question becomes what structures and what processes precipitate such dialogue. Too often in the commissioning of evaluation, funders are complicit, evaluation teams are concerned. We end with the report itself, and that's the problem. All right, that's my 12 minutes. Sorry, I went on a little bit more. Back to you, Maha.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjeev, and hats off to you. These were some brilliant questions and some brilliant commentary from your side. And like you said, we're not stopping here. We're all moved and motivated to take these conversations ahead. And I'm sure Appiah and all of us here will do something more about it. And this is something that I really think should go forward. There's so much scope and there's so much to do in this space, right? So moving forward, now it's time for the closing remarks. And for that, I'm going to invite Mr. Shailendra Dwivedi, the Joint Secretary, DMAO, Niti Aayog, Government of India. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible there. Yeah, good, because I'm really using a new equipment today, and sorry, I don't have the background on me, which I wanted to have for the event. Thank you, Sanjeev, for those very thoughtful and provocative closing remarks. It is really setting an agenda for all of us forward, and it goes on to say how important this dialogue that we are having is, in the context of what is required, not just in India or in the Asia Pacific or the countries that are represented here, but globally, what are the issues that we are all grappling with, and where we are struggling when it comes to understanding the impact of our ways with development per se. And I think that's really the struggle which through evaluation and learning through ages of evaluation that we have to probably find a solution for. Really, cannot thank Appiah enough, Mr. Sela, Randika, all of the organizers actively involved, the production team, and the anchor for the program, Madam Maha Salman, who has actually done a great job of seeing us through right from the first session to the last one. And all the sessions have been great, I'm sure, and I was lucky to listen to the last one from Professor Aki, and it is very, very insightful, and it kind of showed certain aspects of evaluation which I was wondering if somebody has thought about it, put it into a framework. Are there visuals that explain what the evaluation ladder looks like, if it is a ladder or is it a iceberg? I don't know, but yeah, basically it is something that needs to be looked at. So yeah, I would really think there are a number of things that we need to do together, and there is a lot that we have learned over the last 3 days, half days of 3 days that we have had, or 2.5 days, given that we are doing this in the morning. What what really is very encouraging is the whole collaborative spirit in which this is happening. And as you can see, DMU is very happy just to be there as a catalyst for whatever is good for the monitoring and evaluation community globally. We are not just looking at what we can do in India with our partners, but definitely we are also looking at how we can learn from good practices across the globe. And in the region, within the region itself, the cooperation that we can have with the kind that Asia Pacific traditionally kind of enjoys. This presentation from Japan is very full of insights and very relevant to all the countries here. And if we blow it up a bit, that example of disaster management locally, I think it's the most relevant one, because we are actually, as a planet, as a people, uh, handling a kind of a disaster management, or trying to prevent a disaster from happening. I guess we all understand what I'm trying to say here. It is definitely something to look at. The local participation in both the development and the evaluation process, with more frequent feedback loops which are accessible to the doers, not just those who are having some kind of an oversight. Those are some issues that perhaps in the way forward we need to bring more closely, learning from what modern technologies, data systems, data architectures can allow us to do. Because we were in Professor Aki's presentation using the Deming cycle, the PDCA as an anchor around which we evaluate our evaluation practice itself. And some kind of a total quality governance cycle is something that we need to visualize, not just visualize, but actually put to practice for all of us in the way forward. So, and Deming's quote that, in God we trust, and everybody else needs to bring data. I think that's where the whole PDCA cycle actually, anchors. So we have to look at the power and the importance of data, and we got to see where that data is coming from. Are we actually creating that data, or are we, capturing that data from actual work that we are doing? And looking at the depth of digitization that is happening all across, it is very important that we increase the component of captured data that is generated during various services that are being provided to the citizens. That's one part. The other part is when we are looking at developmental work, there again, we need to have geotagged and time-stamped data, which is actually giving evidence of what progress in terms of milestones and outputs in different projects are getting crossed or achieved, so that the whole budgeting and financing process that goes around the development cycle is also very well linked to unquestionable, reliable, and timely data. So this is something that we perhaps need to work towards as a community. It is actually a cycle of data. In between, let's put in energy of institutions, energy of individuals, energy of practitioners who are involved not just in development, but also in evaluation, be it government, be it community, be it local. So all of that is basically what is to be brought in between. And then, of course, with the data and energy put together, we have monitoring, evaluation, learning, and adaptive action. That is perhaps the whole cycle, and that needs to happen on a rapid fashion now. I mean, there's no point committing the same mistakes which we know are not going to yield the results. So that's the fool's hypothesis, where we keep on doing the same things and we hope for a different result. And we are no fools standing here in October 2022. We have had enough evidence, both from recent past and from the long history that we have had the occasion to study and read, thanks to all those great works of historical evaluation that have been published. So all said and done, I think it's a very good dialogue that we have had over the last 2.5 days. The questions that I posed in the beginning, I thought they were difficult ones, but I can say that we have kind of touched everything over there. In terms of indicators, I take Sanjeev's point actually, that an indicator of a program in of this nature is the vocabulary that we are using. And the vocabulary we have been using in this program is very encouraging, and it is forward looking, and it ushers a new era, new age of evaluation, which is more purposeful, result oriented, rather than just looking at scapegoats and looking at how we can victimize some people even more. That's not going to take us anywhere. We have to look at inclusivity, equity, representativeness, opportunity, contribution, learning, growth, all of that for each and every individual through our practice of evaluation. So perhaps the roadmap is very clear, and such dialogues that we have had as part of this program. Perhaps there's a need for all the experts also to read, to maybe meet more frequently, brainstorm. It does not always have to be a capacity building program where we are targeting youngsters for some learning. Perhaps we all need to learn a lot from each other as well. And by doing that, we could have even more concrete steps for each one of us. Given the sense of urgency, we need to know what are we doing in the rest of the days in October? What are we doing November, December this year? Let's not look too far all the time, because the future is already here. I don't know if it is equally spread or not. It was not so, the long back when I checked, but today, if it is getting better distributed, then perhaps our practice is contributing something to the betterment of our world. So thank you, Sanjeev, thank you, Appiah, thank you everyone for this opportunity and this platform. Let us keep this growing. Let us keep this going, and let the collaborative spirit rule, because that's the only way that we are going to be able to make progress the way we want to. Thank you for all the participants for their active engagement during the entire exercise. The questions that were coming up were so thought-provoking, and of course they made us all think whether or not we were responding. We were definitely thinking about the answers to those questions. So it's been a great success, as I can see from the vibes that are created on this online platform as well. We will have formal feedback, etc. Also, perhaps and we would have ways to think about what are the next set of events that we need to bring to build this dialogue, to build this momentum, to build our community, our tribe of people who are going to make a difference in the way things happen going forward. So thank you very much. I don't know if I've exceeded my time, but that's all that I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shailendra, and thank you. You started with, in your opening remarks, you gave us those questions, food for thought, which stayed with us throughout these 3 days. And during these 3 days, we were able to answer some, think more about some, challenge some. So it was great. And thank you for these beautiful and very encouraging closing remarks. Next, I'm going to invite Ms. Anna Erika Lereza. She is the co-leader of Evaluate Asia. Hi, Anna.
Thank you, Maha, and thank you everyone. So I just would like to add on Dr. Sanjeev's a speech earlier when he talked about the evaluation 3, because that hit hard. That hit hard for me. And I just want to share my perspective that when you think of evaluation 3 and you're searching for an evaluation 3 that is in the Asian context, in my perspective, when you say that, what I think of is the Asia Pacific evaluation strategy. And I know it sounds like some sort of promotion, but it's not. Mostly because this is something that we proudly co-created with everyone, with young evaluators, with parliamentarians, with the VOPES. And to us, this is very clear that this is the pathway that we needed. This is the priorities that we needed to target, so that the evaluation field in our region could develop further, and that it is actually contributing more meaningfully to the development, to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, to the achievement of the national targets of the countries in our region. So that is why I am very thankful for this platform. I am very thankful for APEA, for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, for DMAO, and of course for all of the organizers here and the speakers for sharing their stories and their wisdom for making this platform possible. Evaluation policy is definitely one of the core foundations that we have identified that is needed for this region. And having this platform so accessible, especially as a young and emerging evaluator, coming from a background wherein I used to join as an organizer and I would sneak into these closed room webinars just so I would be able to listen to these lessons and lectures. To have this platform for free, accessible for anyone throughout the region is very, very much meaningful. So thank you for everyone's hard work. You all deserve a round of applause. And so to my colleagues here, to our participants, I hope that all of the lessons that you have acquired from here is something that is going to be useful for you and is something that you are going to take forward. So this is a challenge essentially for everyone, right? Like Dr. Sanjeev's questions is not just not just rhetorical questions. These are questions that requires actions, and he's challenging us to take it forward. And Dr. Sanjeev, I'm telling you, maybe you caught us with our pants down. We are in progress, and it is coming. It is in process, and I know my colleagues here will talk about it more later on of what's the next step forward. But I would like to encourage all of the participants to not only take these lessons in your own countries to develop the evaluation field further in your own contexts, but also contribute to the regional and to the global community, and tell the global community that this is happening. This is what we have. We are developing. Listen to us. And help us take this forward further. So yeah, I'm looking forward to working with more of these people here, the organizations, not only the organizers, but also to our participants. I hope one of your names would come in somewhere further and I would have the opportunity to work with you all. So thank you and congratulations. Over to you, Maha.
Thank you so much, Erica. Thank you for always being inspiring and all the great work that you're doing. Next up, we have Professor Kiko Nishino. She is the Vice President, Asia Pacific Evaluation Association. Hello, Professor Kiko.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, so thank you very much for all the presenters, speakers, and the participants, especially Maha organization team and production team. Of the policy evaluation for school 2022. All the sessions were very informative and inspiring, and we could learn a lot. We all know the importance of evaluation, and on top of it, we learned that importance of focusing on results in development interventions, use of OECD DAC evaluation criteria, and the importance of using evaluation evidence for policy decisions. By listening to Professor Aki's presentation, I reckoned my students' simple question. Recently, one of my graduate students interned in the evaluation section of one organization. Her task was to review 135 evaluation reports and come up with assessment. She thought that organization conducted evaluations very rigorously and meticulously, and so many valuable lessons learned were reported. But she came back with one big question or simple question and asked me in the seminar, Professor, I read so many lessons, good lessons learned, but at the same time, the same lessons learned and recommendations were repeated again and again in the similar project. Why is this happening? So my answer was, well, it depends, but most probably either the planner did not read the recommendations or the implementers forgot lessons while doing the implementation, or even the evaluator didn't think enough or deeply enough to come up with the better lessons and learned with the recommendations. And so her experience reminded me of that doing evaluation is important, but doing useful evaluation or using evaluation results is more important for a better change, or Professor Aki would say, for better social betterment. So, but we have a long way to go, but we would go for it. And thank you very much. This was a beautiful sessions and the great learning lessons. And thank you very much. And over to you, Maha.
Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you for sharing this story, and thank you for the great leader that you are. Moving forward, again, smiles and eyes in the camera. We'll take the group picture and capture this moment. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can have a good view at our audience, which is bigger than before. Productions team.
Tashan, over to you.
Open the video, please, Maha.
Sorry?
I cannot open my video. You have blocked me.
I don't think so. Try now. Yes. What a great audience. Productions team, give me a signal. Are we good to go?
Yes, Mahadan.
Okay, great. Thank you. And now imagine yourself moving forwards towards the stage. Imagine we have a stage set up and we have an award ceremony going on, because now it's time for the presentation of the certificates. And imagine Mr. Shailendra on the stage, because I would want him to be on the stage, on this virtual stage, to present the certificates to our presenters, to our participants. And before we start this, apologies in advance if I pronounce your names incorrectly. I tried my best to correct the pronunciations, but some of the names are really hard for me. So let's move forward. So Mr. Shailendra, I have you on Spotlight, yes. And so the certificate of completion is given to all the participants for successfully participating the Policy Evaluation Fall School 2022 from 6th to 8th October 2022. The certificate is signed by Dr. Sela Kalugampatia, the President of Asia Pacific Evaluation Association, Dr. Sanjeev Sridharan, the Country Lead Learning Systems and System Evaluation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and Mr. Shailendra Dwivedi, Joint Secretary, Development Monitoring and Evaluation, NITI Aayog. And as you all know, this event was organized by Asia Pacific Evaluation Association in collaboration with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the DMEO. So now I'm going to go and announce all the participants, names of the participants who successfully completed this event and were with us for the 3 days. Akriti Gupta, Abu Bakr Muhammad Moki, Ahmad Faraz Khudi, Aishwarya Ravi Kumar, Aishwarya Salvi, Amrish Bombay, Amit Kumar Uke, Amlicet Abriha, Amol Suresh, Anil Singh, Amiru Abdul Mujib, Arjun Dhakkal, Benjamin Kachero, Biswaranjan Baraj, Brian Osen, Carlos Xavier, Cecil Capigson, Darius Isabok, Desmond Tutu, Digvijay Shinde, Dubey Himanshu, Dulminia Chamatkara, Elizabeth Kureg, Fatma Molina, Gerald Yige, Clarissa Santos, James Ovachi, Jeneki, Joanne Iber, John Gelua, Juliet Akurut, Kanchana Samaravira, Kapil Saini, Kencho Zangmo, Koroshin, Keyakunda Shirley, Lee Makelisang, Liki Wangdi, Mahika, Men Chanbona, Muhammad Mana Rahman, Muhammad Ajiwadin, Monica Azahra, Mosmi Panda, Nikhat Khalid, Nimisha Jain, Novi Agraini. And by the way, we're just imagine round of applause behind all the pronunciations. Ardini Chimek, Petra Veres, Kutsia Khairi, Rajiv, Rakita Kasigi, Kasun, Rita Soni, Rita Gupta, Ruba Morgan, Tekio Mose, Salman Maksood, Sandy Tanios, Soumya Nautiyal, Savuya Nakijoba, Sela Sar, Shakira Nachwa, Simar Kaur, Sneha Ganguly, Subarna, Tashi Chodan, Tashi Dender, Tatiana, Upula Amarasinghe, Vaishali Chopra, Virgil Pamphil, Winnie Nabisinio, Yash Lada, Yashaswani Saraswat, Yatin Devakar, Yoliana Devata, Pantaleon Shoki. So we're done with all the certificates. A virtual round of applause, and this time. So again, thank you everyone for the participation, and thank you to all our speakers and all our resource persons, to all the organizers, and for all the appreciation that I was getting throughout. Literally, I think learning and talking are two of my favorite things, so the pleasure is all mine. And now I am going to invite Dr. Sela Kalugampatia to share his views about the event.
Thank you, Maha. Thank you, everyone. We have come to an end of a great and wonderful event. I know that everyone said many good things about the event, so I'm not going to details. I would like to congratulate all the participants for getting certificates, as well as wonderful participation, active and wonderful participation. As I mentioned at the beginning of the event, we got over 500 applicants and we accommodated 100 plus. We don't forget others. At the same time, all the participants participated very actively, and it's encouraging us. At the same time, we had wonderful team of resource persons from all over the world, different regions. They made very informative and useful presentations. and also our speakers. I think Ma will show us names and photos as well, resource persons and speakers, and also the panel and the panelists we had in the first day. They made all the sessions very rich and made participants to have a good dialogue based on that. So the policy school was rich with all these presentations and speeches. At the same time, let me also mention about our production and communication team. You see the names from our production and communication team, and also the APC Hub, Asia Pacific Communication Hub, who got involved and supported with the production and communication. So Madhuka, Randika, Tarshan, Hasiti, and let me see, also Punya and May, Dorothy May, worked hard on this. And at the same time, Maha, your great and excellent moderation. We must thank you because it gave you, live and richness to the event. So we must thank you, Maha. I must also mention that everyone involved in production, communication, organizing, and also moderation are young and emerging evaluators or youth, except me and perhaps Sanjeev too. Except both of us, all the others are youth. So that's great. So in our region, any event, anything we organize or initiate, young and emerging evaluators and youth have, great opportunity to get involved, take the lead, and also contribute a lot. So that will also lead to the future of evaluation in this region. So I want to mention that. And also some of the speakers like Anna Erika from Eval Youth team. At the same time, I want to thank DMEO for the great partnership, being a government institution and taking the lead in now promoting evaluation in India, taking the lead. At the same time, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for supporting this event, and Sanjeev especially proposing the idea and the concept. And Sanjeev, I know that you had many sleepless nights because of this event. I hope your sleepless nights compensate with this great event, and we must thank you a lot. Finally, as I mentioned, also our organizing committee, you can see the organizing committee. As Sanjeev already mentioned about the organizing committee, who worked hard to get this done, and also APIA Secretariat team members, Madhuka and Randika, who are well organized and committed team members. At the same time, I also want to mention that this is just a start. And as I mentioned in the opening remarks, we need maybe thousands of fall schools, policy evaluation for schools in this region. So our policymakers can make evidence-informed policies to make citizens' lives better, because the challenges we face in this region, many of our countries need more evidence-informed policies and also evidence-informed programming. So I think this is just a start. APIA is committed to continue this journey together with other partners and all of you. So our team will be in touch with all the participants, all the resource persons, speakers, and all the others got involved. And the success of this event, there are many volunteers behind this. They contributed a lot. We don't, forget that as well. And with that note, let me thank everyone again, and hope to be in touch with all of you again. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Asela.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Asela, and thank you for always being a great leader and always encouraging us and motivating us to do well and motivating us to do more. So thank you for that. Like we mentioned, that we're not stopping. So some of the great events are happening, which you can catch up on. One such is the SLEVA webinar on the institutionalization of evaluation, a global view, on 17th October. And the other one is EvalVision Asia, which has a series of exciting events from December 5th to December 10th. So try to catch these up if you can. And on this note, I'm going to say goodbye to all of you. Get in touch with us. These are some of the contact links that you can use: the website, email, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. And it was my pleasure hosting this event, getting to know all of you, and learning together with all of us together in this group was such an amazing experience. So thank you and have a good day.
Thanks, Mark.
Hope we connect again on some event very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Everyone.
Thank you very much.
The organizers can stay back
Thank you,
for a
Kach.
debrief.